So students, we are going to do chapter number 14, When the Earth Shook. So basically this chapter is about an earthquake that had came in Gujarat. Now what to be done, like when we have a natural disaster, when there is an earthquake, what should we do? Plus the sensitivity, like when there is the natural disaster like earthquakes, what actually happens to the common people and the people with no resources left. What should be done at that time? How we can manage it? How we can manage the disaster? So the skills regarding disaster management and the auxiliary things, the helping things, how we should help each other, how we should share our resources with each other. So this chapter is all about that. So let's start. In between I will be asking question, don't forget. A bad dream. Help, help. Save me. Ah, ow. There was screaming and shouting everywhere. The ground was shaking and people were running all around. Screaming loudly, I got up. On hearing, my mother also woke up. She came running and held me very tight. It was the same bad dream. It has been more than 6 years now since the earthquake. But in my sleep I still feel the earth shaking and trembling. Now it is the story about this girl and her mother. I am Jasma, so it is about Jasma. She lives in Kutch area in Gujarat. She was 11 years old when the earthquake happened in Gujarat, that is in 2001. And she still have nightmares. Nightmares means bad dreams about that night when the earthquake happened. Similarly, her mother also have the same nightmares all along, just because it was so devastating. It was such a disaster. Everything destroyed that night. It was 26 January 2001. Everyone from the village, children and old people had gathered in the ground of the school to watch the parade on TV. Suddenly, the ground was shaking. People were scared and started running here and there. No one knew what was happening and what to do. There was total panic. People were not aware at that moment what to be done. So they were panic. So they didn't know what to do. And when you don't know what to be done, automatically a sense of panic, a sense of anxiety comes in. It means you don't know what to be done. You are not trained enough to manage a disaster, and what to be done you don't know. So this thing will happen. About 26 January 2001, the same thing happened with people in Gujarat. When there was a very, very big earthquake. So because of that earthquake, many people were affected. And with the people, there were more things which had destroyed. Like in a few minutes, our village was flat on the ground. It means everything has broken down. All the houses had broken down and had come to the ground, and it was not looking like a city or a village. It was looking flat ground because every house or every building has broken down. All our things, clothes, pots, grains and food were trapped under the stones, mud and wood from the fallen houses. So these fallen houses, underneath these fallen houses, all the important things that are needed to survive were under it. At that time, everyone thought of two things: to save the people who were trapped and to treat the injured. So, two things can be done at that point of time. First, those who were trapped and still they were living, they were breathing, to take them out from that huge, you can say, fallen houses, malba, or you can say that kind of a huge stack, and then to treat them, to treat the injured. The village hospital was also damaged. Many people were seriously injured. My leg also got fractured. The doctor treated people with help of villagers. 6 people of our village died. My grandfather, that is Nana, was also buried under the houses. My mother wept all the time. Seeing my mother, I also cried. The entire village was sad and disturbed. So people were killed in that disaster because houses had fallen down on the ground and so many people were trapped inside it. House of Mota Babu, who is the Sarpanch of our village, was not much damaged. He gave rice and wheat to everyone from his godown. So basically, Mota Babu, who is the Sarpanch of the village, his house was not that much damaged. That's why his survival things, the things that is needed to survive, like rice, wheat, he had given to the people so that they can also survive. For many days, the village women cooked food together at Mota Babu's house and fed everyone. Imagine being without a house in the cold winter. Fear and cold kept us awake in the nights all the time. We were worried that there may be another earthquake. They were all awake all the nights because they were worried that another earthquake can hit. And again all this stuff will be repeated. So they had nightmares and they are very much scared. Now discuss and write. You have to write the answer by your own. Have you or anyone that you know ever faced such difficulty? Share your experience. Who all helped at such a time? Make a list. Suppose you have faced, or maybe you have heard of anyone who have faced such a difficulty, then at that time, who have helped the person who was in need of the help? Make a list of the people who were helpful at that time. So from here we can understand that in this kinds of time, help and sharing each other is so much important. Help arrives. For some days after that, people from the cities kept coming to see what had happened. They came with food, medicines and clothes. Basically, after a few days, when the whole country and the whole world came to know gradually, means slowly, about this huge disaster in Gujarat, people from all over the country started coming in with help. The clothes that we got were very different. We had never worn such clothes before. People from different groups from the city helped us to put up the tents. Staying in these plastic tents in the cold winter month was very difficult. I remember when this earthquake happened, I was in school and I had also sent my clothes for the affected people in Gujarat. So basically this happened in 2001 when all of the Indian people gathered. They helped each other. They sent their help, the clothes, the survival, the food and the needed things to Gujarat so that those people can at least survive. Some of these people were scientists. They tried to find out which areas have more chances of having an earthquake. Now next, a group of scientists came who were searching the reason for the earthquake and where the earthquake can happen again. People from our village talked to them many times. They had suggestions about building our houses again. Now they wanted to build the houses again so the people can stay inside the houses, not in the tent, because it is very difficult to stay in tent in winter. And this happened in January, so you can imagine how cold it becomes there. They had suggestion about building our houses, and engineers and architects showed us some special design for houses. They said that with this design, houses would not get damaged much in the earthquake. But our people were a little afraid. They thought if these people build our houses, our village will not look like our old village. So the villagers thought they would build their own houses, and with their help, the group would build the village school. So now these architects and engineers wanted to build houses which will not get damaged much when the earthquake will come. So chances of damage is less. But the villagers were afraid, they were scared that if they build the houses, their village will not look the same. We all worked together to rebuild our village. Some people dug and brought the clay from the pond. We mixed the clay with cow dung and made large cakes. We put this on one another to make the wall. We whitewashed the wall and decorated them with beautiful design and small pieces of mirror actually. So you can see what are the things that they used to make their houses again. They used mud or clay from the pond, they used cow dung, and then they mixed it together and they made large cakes of them, and they put it on one and another, like one then on the top another to make the wall. So basically these houses are usually very fragile, or you can say it can break very easily, and that's why the architects and engineers were helping them, or they wanted to make their homes like this so that it will not break down if another kind of earthquake comes. So we whitewashed the walls and decorated them with beautiful design and small pieces of mirror. We put up the thatched roof. Now our house shines like a diamond in the dark night. They also decorated their houses with beautiful designs and small pieces of mirrors so that when the sunlight falls on it, it will shine. And also it will shine like a diamond in the dark night when the moonlight will fall on those mirrors. So they have made their houses again, the village is growing again, and again they are having a normal life. But what they have learned from the disaster is most important thing. The survival. How to survive in such situation. If any kind of disaster comes, natural disaster, how to survive? So, the first thing that we should do is helping each other, sharing whatever we have with those who don't have it. Like Mota Babu, who is the Sarpanch of the village, he helped the other villagers by sharing the food, the wheat and rice that he had in stock with him, because his house was the only house which was not damaged, and his storage of food was not damaged with the houses. That's why we can understand by this that helping is so much important in these kinds of hard times. Similarly, we should also know that nowadays we should focus more on building ourselves more strong and ready for such kinds of disaster if it ever happens. which is known as disaster management. If anything like this happen, what should we do? Where should we make a phone call so that we get help? What should we do so that we can survive in very harsh weather? So these are few things that we should know, which will help us not only to survive but also help others to survive. Now few questions that you are going to answer in your EVS copy, and you have to write the answer by yourself, that I have told you repeatedly also in the doubt clearing class and in the beginning of the video also. So let's see the questions. A lot of people from other places came to Jasmas village. Who were these people? In what ways would they have helped the villagers? So as you have read and as I have told, few people had come from outside the village. Who were they and what they would have done to help the villagers? Next question. People in Jasma's village rebuilt their houses with suggestions from the engineers. Will these houses be safer than before in case there is an earthquake again, and why? So they have rebuilt their houses with the suggestions of the engineer, and will it be safer than before? And if yes, then why? Think, if there was an earthquake where you live, would your house be in danger? So you have to answer this by your own. Next question, what will you do to save pet animals during natural disaster? So basically the animals are also in danger during such kinds of earthquake. What can you do to save the pet animals during any kind of natural disaster? So these are few questions that are you are going to answer them in the EVS copy. Don't forget that you have to write this answer by your own so that you will understand better way. So that's all for today's video. Thank you students. Stay safe, study hard and help each other.